making their way home when they finish work this evening. Tomorrow we are facing a different situation in Leinster and Munster with the arrival of Storm Emma. This is a significant escalation in the weather event. We will see blizzard-like conditions and zero visibility. This is not weather that people should be out in. We're asking people to heed the following advices as a result. Schools and third level institutions will be closed in Leinster and Munster, where red warnings will apply tomorrow and Friday. From 4 p.m. tomorrow in Leinster and Munster, people should plan to be at home until noon of the following day, Friday. This is in the interest of public safety, which is our primary concern. This, for situations in schools in Connacht and Ulster and travel there as well, this will be kept in a constant review. But for the moment, for schools and third level institutions, this remains a decision for the school level for now. There will be no Dublin bus or bus errand services tomorrow in Leinster and Munster, and Lewis and Irish Rail will both operate a constrained service finishing between 12 and 2 p.m. This will be disruptive over the course of tomorrow and into Friday. All employees keep in mind the advice that areas should be at home by 4 p.m. tomorrow, and they should also keep in mind the public transport restrictions that will be in place as a result. And different protocols will apply for those in essential and emergency services. Our primary concern is the safety of the public over the coming days. There's been a huge collaborative effort underway across government and with our essential and emergency services. I would ask people to take the time now to check in on elderly and vulnerable people in their communities. I've also asked the public to do any rough sleepers that be to our outreach teams, which will be out again over the course of this afternoon, this evening and into tonight, and they can do that. For people who are looking for more and up-to-date information, they can find that on gov.ie, which is in operation now. I'll now hand you over to Sean Hogan and his team to give you a technical briefing, and I will go and brief the Taoiseach on latest developments. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sean Hogan. I work in the Minister's Department of Housing, Planning and Local Government, which is the lead government department for the response to severe weather emergencies. I chair the National Emergency Coordination Group here, which brings together all the state organisations involved in preparing for and responding to the current severe weather episodes. We met here this morning with Minister Murphy, Minister Paul Keogh and Minister Damien English here this morning. As you know, Met Éireann had issued an orange level warning for snow in place for the East Region counties and the yellow level for Midland County and Southern counties yesterday. Heavier snow than anticipated fell in many areas overnight, showing, I suppose, and highlighting the fact that we've been pointing out about the nature we're dealing with, the unpredictability of some of the events that we're facing here. Met Éireann issued a red level warning in relation to the snow at 5 a.m. this morning because of the snow that had already accumulated at that stage and with more expected today, and we've seen that snow coming across, and that red warning extended for Dublin, Kildare, Louth, Wicklow and Meath. Conditions on roads were very difficult during the snow last night. The salting of the roads has enabled traffic to flow this morning, today, albeit slowly, and we absolutely reiterate the advice about driving appropriate for the conditions that we're in. These are very difficult conditions and people need to drive accordingly. The snow ploughing and salting will continue during the day, and our colleagues here from the transport sector have been filling us in on the work that has been going on here. Public transport has been affected to varying degrees in different areas, but is by and large running today. The airport was affected last night. Dublin Airport was affected last night by heavy snow, and some flights were diverted and continues to be affected by some snowfalls as they're happening. But I think primarily, the main impact in the airport will be in relation to flights and what's happening in other countries as well. And we have our spokespeople here from the airport here as well. Schools made local decisions about opening or not, depending on the conditions. And the reports that we received is in fact that many schools did in fact close in the areas with the red warning, because school transport services will not have been operating. And employers have made decisions based on conditions and their own individual staff situation about opening. However, our main concern here at national level remains the forecast for Thursday night and into Friday. Storm Emma, coming up from the south, will meet the polar air from the east and will give rise to heavy snowfalls starting in the south of the country at approximately 4 o'clock on Thursday afternoon and spreading up across Munster and Leinster and across the rest of the country. With winds up to 100 kilometres an hour, allied with this snowfall, Met Éireann have issued a red level warning for Munster and Leinster, extending from 1600 hours on Thursday to 12 noon on Friday. I'll call on Evelyn to explain what this red warning means in a moment. We have not experienced blizzard conditions since 1982, and the reports from that time indicate the serious and life-threatening conditions which may be posed by the combination of heavy snow and strong winds. Having considered the Met Éireann warning and the likely impact of the blizzard conditions, and for reasons of public safety, the National Emergency Coordination Group is advising that people should not venture out of doors while the red level warning is in place in your area. Given the disruption to transport and the safety risks arising, most particularly in relation to an ability to get home safely before the blizzard conditions hit Munster and Leinster, all schools, colleges, third level institutions in red areas will be closed tomorrow, and the advice is that all childcare facilities likewise remain closed. They will also remain closed on Friday because of the conditions we expect in the aftermath of the blizzard. In relation to Connacht and Ulster, decisions on school closures will be made at school level in light of local circumstances, and the situation in Connacht and Ulster will be kept under review. Public transport will be seriously disrupted tomorrow. Specifically, Dublin Bus will not operate, and Bus Éireann and Rural Link will not operate in Munster and Leinster. Most private bus operators are advising that they will not be operating. Irish Rail will run services tomorrow morning, but will aim for an orderly close down for the entire country services between 12 and 2. Luas will run limited services up to lunchtime. The airport situation will be kept under review, and I suppose the advice really is people should check with their carriers before going to the airport about their flights. From our perspective, the key issue is, in light of the expected conditions coming into the country from Thursday afternoon, if people need to travel, they need to consider how they will be home safely by 4 o'clock, starting in Munster and in Leinster. For tomorrow, employers will need to consider whether, given the constraints in public transport and the current anticipated snow conditions, it is possible or necessary for them to open tomorrow. Employers will have been thinking about their arrangements in this regard. Government departments and offices not involved in provision of essential services will close on Thursday and Friday in Leinster and Munster. The departments and agencies involved in provision of essential services have their own protocols in place and will have been advising their own staff accordingly. These are our warnings and advice at approximately 36 hours out from the main event, and people will need to be conscious of the actual conditions that prevail. As with Storm Ophelia, we are asking people to heed the advice of the National Emergency Coordination Group, and we urge all individuals and organisations to consider our advice and, taking account of the timing issues, to plan to give effect for the red level warning. I will now ask my colleague Evelyn to give you details on the red level warning, and I suppose our general advice is to continue to monitor Met Éireann across all media platforms for further updates and to familiarise yourself with the Winter Ready campaign. You should go to gov.ie for all information and links to all the information that's been made available. Evelyn, can I now ask you to give us an update from your perspective, please? Thanks, Evelyn.
Thanks, Sean. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just to say, Met Éireann's weather warnings are aligned fully with European National Met Services, the colour coding system which we've instigated since 2013, and you can see all the European warnings on Meteoalarm, and I've just put this up here. So, Ireland and Britain sharing the very unstable airflow here, the Siberian air which is coming across Europe. So all these orange and yellow warnings for Central Europe are for snow and for thunderstorms.